Eric and Ben Nelson. Guys, what an amazing podcast we just had. Man, so much goodness. You guys are running Wild Out Capital. You guys have an event called Scale. You have a podcast. But we have one more question for you. And David, over to you for that question. We call this um, Leveling Up with TKM.
Temporarily forgot what it's
I
called,
forgot.
but
I
it is
forgot that for a
definitely called
second.
Leveling Up with TKM. Hey guys, appreciate you guys. Awesome show. You guys are amazing. Here's a question. What is the most impactful action you have taken in your home and in your business to level up?
I'll let you go, Ben.
Oh, got me. In my home, I will say 100% listening to what my wife actually needs more than anything else. I mean, there's a bunch of books out there like, what is the love languages and a lot of those types of things. But I can say without a doubt, my wife loves not recognition, but just that I'm thinking about what she's thinking about. So like I've come really accustomed, like I'll go buy a bunch of cards that she loves. Like there's this one like square card from Whole Foods that she just loves for whatever reason. And like before I go on a trip, and it's not like Valentine's Day or if they're like the supposed days, I'll like write a card, 4 sentences, and I'll just like on one side of it, like, hey, on a random Tuesday when you had a terrible day at work, and like I'll leave it for her to find, and she'll have this note. And in doing those things and thinking about like, oh, it'd be awesome. It's little. It's like it'd be awesome if I unload the dishwasher and she didn't have to. Like being a step ahead of doing some of these like service things for her. But those two things, like listen to what she actually needs. I think business wise, being extremely honest with who I am and what I can do and what I'm good at and not good at. Like that's been the hardest thing for me is like who I perceived I should be in real estate specifically and who I actually am and what I'm good at are different things. Again, I've learned that over time and over like having some tough conversations with Eric and other business partners, but also just like who am I and what do I want to support? Like building this community thing has been like really natural to me. So how do we lean into that? So honesty.
Yeah, that's good stuff, Ben. I think for me, like for home, one thing that hit me super hard was one time Marie was like, sometimes you're not home even when you're home. Like this is kind of a curse of an entrepreneur, I think, too, is like you're thinking of the next thing, or you're thinking like, I don't know, just, and maybe that's not true. I mean, that's true for everybody. I assume when you're starting a business that that's sort of a curse, I'll say. And it hit me really hard. I was like, man, that stings, And this is a challenge I face basically every day is like, go home and be truly present. And I heard this quote, I think it was Brandon Turner recently, was like, here's a challenge for you. Don't let your kids see you on your phone for the next month. I can't remember the timeline. He said it was like, don't let your kids see you on your phone. I was like, man, that
That's
is
hard.
cool. Very hard and such a cool challenge. Like, but it's crazy. My kids are young. Like I'm home from like 5, I get home around 5 or so and they go to bed around 8. I'm like 3 hours a day. I should just put my phone down. So the change I've made is like, it's a mental shift of like, if I'm here, I got to be here. I don't, like they don't deserve me to be somewhere else. Like even if I'm present, I need to be here. So that's a challenge I face every day, but it's made a huge difference, especially in my relationship with my kids. And then with business, this is kind of like a one thing sort of thing, like a Gary Keller thing. But like, what is the thing today that moves the needle? In those days where you're like, don't want to, you're tired, you're sick, or like, yeah, your kid's thrown up all night. What's the one thing that moves the needle? And then show up and do it. Like that's probably like the one thing that I do, right? Like show up and be like, all right, if nothing else, let's move the needle a little bit. Some days you hammer, some days you're just in it, right? And then you just like do everything. But those days that you feel like doing nothing, you got to do something. So it's always about like consistency is what it comes down to for me.
And I love that, guys. Both some mindset stuff and some action stuff. I appreciate that. Guys and gals, you heard it. Go level up. Thanks, guys. See you.
Thanks, guys. Appreciate you.